And my little
Star Killer. Was he using Shoto?
Oh. What is up, everybody, and welcome to another exciting episode of Sith Happens. And today, of course, we got the usual suspects with us. Coming to us from Smuggler's Run over here is Jedi Chris. What's happening, Jedi Chris?
Hello, everyone. How you doing?
And of course, from the Outer Rim, we got Paradox Fett, also known as the Paradox Nerd. Everybody pulling out their sabers, okay.
What's up, guys?
We're talking about
I will finish what you have started.
Well, it's appropriate.
What's up, guys?
Because it's one of our topics. But how's everybody feeling? Everybody getting any new stuff in? Anything happening with the Force? So what's going on?
Yeah, actually, I got this guy in.
I played hell back my neck stand up. What's that?
So basically, my friends and I did a Secret Santa, and
Secret Santa. It's about to be February, Paradox.
It was earlier this a couple of weeks ago, but basically we kind of like exchanged gifts, and this is what I requested, and I got him Darth Vader SH figure arts. I'll probably do like an unboxing video, we'll see, but it's my first SH figure arts, and from what I've seen, they look pretty detailed. So I got that, and you guys saw probably my unboxing video with the Death Trooper premium format. So those are two things I got so far.
Yeah, that was nice. You made me think about getting one, but the base is kind of huge, so I don't know where I would put it.
Yeah, that's my only gripe about that was, well, first of all, putting it together. You probably saw, like, I was struggling. I was like sweating, and like I started off happy, then I became like a Sith by the end of the boxing. But just it's a beautiful like statue, man. Like if you're thinking about picking him up, man, like hands down, if you could put some rewards points to it, definitely highly recommend him, man.
Speaking of that, Jedi Chris, did you ever receive your Vader PF cert?
Mm-hmm.
I did. Thanks to Paradox Fett over here, I now am a proud owner of my very first Darth Vader statue. However, because of my crazy week, it is still in carbonite, known as the sideshow box that it came in. So, that's something I need to get done. My son's been bugging me about it, and
I think you need to do that, Jedi Chris.
I think it's going to be some good soul cleansing by pulling that out and holding back the tears. A little emotional, maybe.
Oh, of course, I totally.
Oh yeah, of course.
I thank you, Paradox, for actually be willing to sell it to me and making it. Your statue is my first, so now we're like bonded by statue energy or something. I don't know, but yeah, it's pretty awesome.
Actually, you're gonna love that statue, man. It's probably one of my surprises of last year. Like when I picked them up, I was like, wow. But like every collector, we have our space, problems. So that's one thing I had to and I'm glad that I went to an awesome guy. So I'm really happy. He's in a good home.
He's definitely in a good home, and it's going to be well taken care of. But another thing, you were showing the figure arts figures. I've been looking at the Darth Vader and the Luke Skywalker Jedi Knight, and I've been kind of hesitant to buy it. And now I see it in your hand. I'm like, dang it. The smaller ones, they fit in my office really well and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
The Darth Vader statue, I might have it here for a while. I was thinking about putting it in my office just to show it off to everybody, kind of brag and stuff. But,
yeah.
But yeah, that, and then I got a couple different backdrops in the mail. So I've been.
Oh, that's awesome.
So
I feel like I had to like pull you back in because you look like you're gonna be sucked in back to space.
Whoa! That's my favorite one out of all of them so far. That's my favorite.
Yeah, that was my favorite one.
Thank you. Yes, I'll keep looking. I'll keep trying to spice it up as we go forward.
Okay.
So as always, we got a giveaway. We got to try and give away Lord Vader again this week. JC kind of stumped everybody last week, but we'll give you that question. I
didn't mean to stump everybody last week. I really wanted to make it a challenging question because it's such an awesome piece, and I really wanted to go to somebody who obviously really wanted it, but really knows her stuff, and I actually had to dig. That was a couple of days of going through books, just so you guys know. So it didn't like I just woke up one day and said, "Hey, let's look at this." So, I got another one for you today. Stand by. I'm not going to tell you what it is right now because I know you guys will be, instead of watching our show, you're going to be surfing the web trying to find the answer. So you're going to have to wait.
Well, that being said, we got our topics this week as always. Topic one is different types of lightsabers, you know, piggybacking off of the different saber styles, different fighting styles last week. And Lord Yoda, quote, know themselves Padawans must before lightsaber they can build. So it means you gotta look inward before they can build lightsabers. Now, lightsabers are built of several parts: the hand grip, the emitter matrix, the lens assembly, the power cell, and obviously the kyber crystal. But there are different variations that have been made, you know, to fit the different styles. Basically, the styles were designed to use your standard lightsaber, but as time went on, you know, different variations on the lightsaber to meet different situations were created. So, you know, we obviously start out with the standard lightsaber, pretty self-explanatory, you know, different designs, but pretty much all the same, you know. So Paradox, JC, anybody want to start just to discuss your standard lightsaber?
I'll start off with the holocron himself, Jedi Chris.
Nice. I think as Star Wars has moved forward, we started seeing variations of the lightsaber, because most of them had the standard, you know, cylindrical hilt with maybe a different bottom to the piece. But as things went forward, we started saying, oh wait, a double bladed lightsaber, so more of a bow staff style fighting. And then you had the ones with the curved hilt, which we have learned since then. I don't want to steal thunder on that one, which has to do with more of the elegant swordsman or swordswoman, like Dooku and Saj Ventress. And then you have the ones that are on basically a blade on top of a spear tip, which is a whole different style of fighting, more of a security sentry. And then you have the ones that basically have, as you saw with Kylo Ren, it's got the two jets out the side, and that was designed because it was a poorly designed blade, believe it or not, and it used that to kind of jet out the extra energy so it wouldn't cause an issue with the blade. But I'd have to say, as much as I'm a huge Luke Skywalker and Darth Vader fan, I think as far as lightsabers, I think having one like the slightly crafted hilt like Count Dooku, just to me, it's just very elegant weapon. And I like the Saj Ventress, hers they actually clipped on the end, so she went from the elegant style to the bow staff fighting style. Just as dangerous, you know. But I know I'm gonna ramble. I just had a cup of coffee and half an energy drink, so I'm gonna be a little raw today and probably off the wire. But let's go into it. I mean, all the lightsabers are basically built the same. I mean, Thor, you just said that, yes, these are the standard components of a lightsaber. How is a lightsaber built? Well, if you look at the storylines, you can't just go in and have a bunch of droids making the lightsabers, because if you don't have the crystal lined up with the power source and the reflective lens, it could actually turn into a bomb and blow up. So it's what you mentioned Yoda saying, you have to look within, you have to find the balance within the Force. And as you're using the Force to build your lightsaber, that balance and that piece, you can check the micro, we would call that the micro fractions of how it's lined up, and you'll know when it's lined up properly. So then once you're at peace with yourself and you form your lightsaber together, now everything is in this perfect harmony, which is you. And now you've got this blade, which is basically like a living energy blade, which is an extension of you. And then, of course, your fighting style, like we talked about last week, again, is an extension of you as well. So I will pass it on to Paradox. So what do you want to add to that before I take up the whole show?
Whatever you said, man.
How do
I follow that up? Like, basically, you explain thoroughly and in a very Jedi-esque way of how a lightsaber is crafted and the different types of lightsabers. But for me, I just want to know, Chris and Thor, what you guys think of how a Sith crafts his lightsaber. I mean, I only know how, Darth Vader crafted his lightsaber, through the comics and everything. But like, how would an average Sith craft his lightsaber?
Well, in Legends, before Disney changed it, the Sith used to they would use synthetic crystals. You know what I mean? The Jedi, Disney changed everything. It used to be planet Ilum, I believe it's called, is where all the kyber crystals were gotten from. It was a cave. Well, the Sith were like, later for that, they found a way of crafting synthetic crystals, and then they would just assemble their lightsabers in that manner. You know what I mean? So they wouldn't even bother going to get any, natural kyber crystals. I'm surprised after studying the different, what style everybody used. I'm surprised since Anakin / Vader experienced Count Dooku and he uses Form 2. I'm surprised he doesn't have a curved hilt saber that he uses. That's kind of a, maybe, it wasn't planned that way, due to the prequels or whatever, which we'll get into later. But that surprises me that Vader doesn't have a curved hilt saber that he uses.
Yeah. I mean, piggyback off of that. I mean, because I was reading the Darth Vader comics, and I'm sure you guys read it too. I think Vader actually had to kill a Jedi to actually form to get that crystal and use that crystal to build his lightsaber. But in terms of like my favorite type of lightsaber, I would have to go with the regular one. That's like, one of my favorites, but dual wielding. I've always been a fan of dual wielding sabers. So I know there are quite a few that do use it. I mean, Anakin used dual sabers in the episode 2 for a little bit. I thought that was pretty cool, but I mean, I like the dual wielding. That's my favorite one.
I think, I'm sorry, go ahead, Jesse.
I was just going to piggyback because you talked about how Sith used synthetic crystals to help make their lightsabers. Well, Luke Skywalker did the same thing when he made his green lightsaber for prior to Return of the Jedi. In the actual storybooks, he's in Obi-Wan's old place, and he's sitting there chiseling away, and R2-D2's trying to help him out. He's like, "No, I have to do this on my own, and if I don't chisel this right, I'm going to lose another hand." Things of that nature. And but the cool thing is, like in the New Jedi Order series, the 19-book series with the Yuuzhan Vong invasion, where Jason Solo ends up crossing over to the dark side and becoming Darth Caedus, which is no longer canon stuff. He actually got a gemstone from one of the Yuuzhan Vong creatures, and he ended up making a red lightsaber out of a biosynthetic crystal that was created out of the terraforming that the Yuuzhan Vong did. So what I like about that is whether it's a Helium, Ardagan, or Kyber crystal that you meditate, and it basically it calls to you or you call to it, where the Sith could basically just bypass that, and then they can still use the Force and balance. I mean, whether it's peace or anger, they can still focus that to that microfraction and line it up right. So I just wanted to add that real quick. So all right.
I just wanted to, I'm sorry.
No, it's cool. I just wanted to explain what you were starting earlier, Paradox. The new canon is, as far as the Sith go, they got a process called bleeding the lightsaber, the crystal, actually. So they're trying to say now that the crystals are aware of who's using them, and they sort of attach themselves to the user, and the color determines your stance in the Force. Blue means something, green means something, and then so as far as the Sith go, the Emperor explained this to Vader when he, right after Episode 3, he said you have to go and actually you can't, like, they had lightsabers in the from the Jedi Temple, but you can't use those. You actually have to take one from an actual live Jedi, and then you have to like impose your will on the crystal and take it over, and that causes the actual crystal to feel pain, and that's what creates the red color. And then that's the new canon now, is what Disney's trying to say. Hey, go ahead, Paradox.
I like it.
I love that. That actual issue, I don't know the actual number of the issue, but that issue was a monster.
Yeah,
it was a monster. Yeah, so
yeah,
I would highly recommend checking out that Darth Vader. You can see that in the Darth Vader comics, Volume 2 is what you want to check out.
To all the people who are watching, you definitely have to pick up the new Darth Vader comic book. It is outstanding. You know, kind of explains his pretty much his background after Revenge of the Sith. But I just want to ask you guys, like, what do you think? Like, will there be in the future Star Wars movies like different types of color lightsabers? You know, in Knights of the Old Republic and the Old Republic game, you see a lot of like Force users using them. I didn't read the the expanded much of the expanded universe, but Jedi Chris, maybe was there any like Jedis or Sith that use different kind of like
believe it or not, there was all different colors. They had orange, they had pinks, they had yellows, different shades of green and blues. But the thing was, they had a Jedi, and I'm trying to remember right now. My brain's kind of not working today. I'm trying to remember if it was not Kyle Katarn, because his was yellow. Corran Horn. He got his robes and his lightsaber from his father, his biological father, because he was a Jedi that ended up going into hiding, and then he ended up dying, and then his best friend married his wife and raised a son, because his last name was not Horn, it was Hasselon, but he had a silver blade, and that was his code name, because he was an excellent pilot. He's a Corellian pilot, and excellent, thanks to Luke Skywalker, became an excellent swordsman. But he couldn't use telekinesis to like Jedis could. He had to basically absorb energy from another source, and then he could convert it into energy, telekinesis, and things like that. But yeah, he had a silver blade, and that was kind of his code name when they were flying on missions and stuff. So yeah, and then of course there was a white blade. You already know about the black blade from the dark saber from the Mandalorians, but they had a white blade in the past that apparently the crystal was so strong it actually could cut through other lightsabers.
Wow.
To prevent that from falling in the wrong hands, the lightsaber, to summarize a whole history there, they ended up dismantling the saber and destroying the crystal, so it could never be. And of course, the way to create it was lost. But yeah, I would love to see different colors in the future, because back when we had the Ardagan crystals and the Ilium crystals, it was like a rainbow spectrum of different crystals in these caves. So I don't know. I think Disney can really just go nuts with this stuff, to be honest with you. And
I hope so.
I mean, if they want to reach out to us for advice, I mean,
we're here. This Collectiverse, we ready anytime. But to piggyback off of that, if you look at Rebels, the Temple Guards, their sabers were gold. You know what I mean? And even Ahsoka, once she became, even though they never said it, the Gray Jedi, she had white sabers. Remember when she fought Vader, her saber blades were white. But also a couple other kind of, JC said it earlier. If you play the Force Unleashed, the Royal Guards of the Emperor, those staffs, they actually hold them. Those are lightsabers, and those are called light pikes. It's just a staff. At the end, it's a lightsaber. You know what I mean? So technically, those as I read about it, it said those are kind of similar to the double-sided, because the staff is made out of saber-proof material, so it doesn't get cut in half. And they're trained to use them. And then actually in Legends, there was a light whip, which was kind of uncommon, kind of unorthodox, kind of, the blade could actually bend, and it was like a light whip. You know what I mean? Luke Skywalker fought someone, and I read about, and he had to use a short shoulder blade, which we haven't talked about, in cohesion with a regular lightsaber to defend against that. So, yeah.
I'm trying to think of her name right now. I want to say it's like
it was a woman. Yeah,
Lamira, and she had a lot of battle damage, so she had cybernetic stuff as well, and she taunted Skywalker a lot, but she had that light whip, and it was a lightsaber blade, and it had like little mini hooks throughout the whole contraption, so it would not only burn but cut and tear too. So it was quite an effective weapon. And she was the only one that seemed able to do it. And she was also one of the first storybook characters that did a lot of the force shadowing, where the force phantoms, where you can be in one place, but then you can project yourself elsewhere. She was doing that quite a bit. But anyway, I'll try to remember her name as we're talking. I have her action figure. Yeah. So.
Wait, did she die from doing that?
No. Luke didn't die either, guys. Right? Luke didn't die. He's just merged with the Force.
We didn't talk about the Shoto blade. The Shoto blade is actually a short, off-hand blade. You can see Ahsoka in the Phantom Menace in the Clone Wars days. She used the Shoto blade in her offhand, but she would hold it like the blade would be out this way, and it's mostly used for defense, But actually, Yoda is using a Shoto short blade because of his size. It's not typically used as a normal weapon, as a lone weapon, but due to him being so small, he can use it as a lone lightsaber. But typically they use like Luke used one when he fought against the lady with the light whip. So that's one we didn't talk about yet. So.
Absolutely.
Yeah, but Darth Maul, obviously the only one so far we've seen use a double-bladed. When we on the show, the Temple Guards, they use double-bladed. Say those are like the only Jedi. No, what was it, Creel? That one episode, there was a Jedi. He had like 4 arms, and he used like 4 double-sided lightsabers, and he had turned to the dark side. I can remember the episode. I can't remember his name.
Yeah, they were basically nunchucks that had the blades on each end, and he was able to spin them around and almost do a bow staff style fighting.
Right.
And then the Force Unleashed, you had what's her name? Brood. What's her name? Mary's Brood.
She had the
She had the what they're called, tonfas, or whatever.
They're like the billy club type of things, what you see with, like, police have is a staff, and then you have the handle like that. But at the end there was a lightsaber, and she fought a Star Killer. Yeah, she had those, and
so she was able to, she could deflect and bend, and all that spinning type stuff. So that was pretty awesome. So there's different ways they can handle that. I forgot about the Jedi and the Clone Wars that had the nunchuck style. That was pretty cool.
Yeah. So there's a lot of different variations. You can go nuts. I mean, there's plenty of depending on your style or your stature, the lightsaber can go all different kind of ways. So if anybody else didn't have anything to add.
Well, I was going to say, we were talking about double-ended lightsabers, and back in the Knights of the Old Republic, we had Exar Kun. Before he crossed over to the dark side, he had a double-ended blue lightsaber, and then Ballista Shan also had a double-ended yellow, like more of the Temple Guard style lightsaber as well. The action figure somewhere buried up in my man cave. So, yeah.
So we'll see it someday. But moving on, this next subject is a topic I cannot wait to get into. So the mid-season trailer came out for Star Wars Rebels, and as we know, this is the final season, and it looked off the hook. It's 7 more episodes. It's going to start on February 19th. On February 19th, it's going to be 2 episodes. It's going to be Jedi Knight, and the second episode is going to be called Doom. February 26th, it's going to be called, it's 2 episodes also, Wolves and Dun, War Between Worlds. Those are 2 episodes. March 5th, which is the final day, is 3 episodes. It's going to be a Fool's Hope family reunion, and the final episode is, no spoiler here, Farewell. So, anybody want to start? I mean, this was a the trailer was off the hook. We saw a lot. We saw the Emperor. We saw all kind of stuff going on. So, Paradox, you want to start?
Yeah. Actually, when I was watching the trailer, it just came out of nowhere. No one just announced it. And it was been a while since we heard anything from Rebels, because they just kind of stopped, and that was it. I was checking my DVR, and there was nothing recorded. I was asking, my wife, I was like, hey, did you guys delete it? What's going on here? But it was it was was a very emotional trailer because you kind of see the progression, you know, of Ezra Bridger to now, and like kind of like where he's at and where the rest of the crew is at. Like, you know, it was also like a good recap from the very beginning to where it's going to lead to. And it was at that point I was just like, damn, like it's going to end, you know, like it's going to end soon. And to me, like you know, like Jedi Chris mentioned before in previous shows, that it was, you know, I could, you know, relate to him, is that it was a bonding moment for me and my kids to kind of like watch it together. And you know, they got to know more about the lore of Star Wars, you know, because they're still little. So to see it in cartoon form and, you know, something they could just kind of like be attached to while watching the show, you know, it was a good experience and a good bonding moment for me and my kids. And I'm really curious to see where the whole crew ends up, you know, with Ezra, with Kanan, the whole crew, you know, you know, is any of them going to die? You know, where are they going to hide? Are they going to hide? You know, where were they, you know, in the original trilogy, you know? I hope they dive into that, like, okay, where they're, you know, where they're at, and or if they're dead, you know. But we'll see. You know, I'm really excited, and I can't wait for the final, also for the final episode. I mean, that's an hour and a half, right? 3 episodes.
Yeah.
Damn, that's like a movie, guys.
Yes, sir.
That's an awesome treat, and I'm sure Filoni's gonna you know, bring you know, everything to that to the table in that last episode, and I can't wait to see it.
Yeah.
Jedi.
What's that?
Oh yeah, and Jedi Chris, why don't you take it away? What's your thoughts?
It's let me do the giveaway question real quick,
okay,
for the trivia question, and then I'll give you my my thoughts on the upcoming, I guess we want to call that season finale, or basically story finale.
Yeah.
But all right, so since so Darth Thor has this awesome Kotobukiya Darth Vader statue. Thor, if you want to make a quick noise so everyone can see it again. Yeah, look at that. That's pretty awesome, right?
That's awesome.
Apparently I asked a very multi-layered, complex question last week, and I want to say I apologize, but I don't, because it's a really cool statue and I wanted people to really try. So sticking with the Knights of the Old Republic, I am also a fan of Revan, Darth Revan, back to Revan again. Anyway, my question is, okay, I wanted to do a 3-parter, and guys tried to talk me out of it. But this will be easy. All right, this is gonna be easy. I am gonna make it a 3-parter, but it's gonna be very easy. Where did Revan, okay, Darth Revan, get his mask? Okay, the one he wears. What was the name of his ship in the Revan novel? And what happened to him? He just kind of like was a Jedi, then became a Darth, and then he was a Jedi again, and then all of a sudden he just kind of faded away. I mean, he was in books and comic books, and then he was in you know, video games, and then poof, like disappeared. Well, if you read the book, you know where he went, right? So yeah, please let you know, type in your answers, and then hopefully we'll have a winner this week, and we'll go from there. So hopefully there's no questions. I'm going to move on to my opinions about this, the end of season 4 and the storyline known as Star Wars Rebels, which again, like Paradox said, was a huge bonding moment for the last few years with my son. And now it's like it's dying, you know. It's like when one story ends, another one begins. So like this story is, in my mind, is dying, moving on to another one. So you get emotional, right? So it's like, crap, my son was just learning how to crawl and talk, and well, actually more talking. He was already walking by then. But so that was like our weekly thing, sitting there on Saturday morning watching this show. And now it's ending, and I think he knows that, and he's kind of resistant to watch it with me right now. So I think he knows it's ending. So he's probably more Force sensitive than I am. But they showed the thing with the Emperor. That just took me back to when Star Killer, also known as Galen Merrick, faces the Emperor, in the first Force Unleashed. And I'm like, oh, don't tell me that, Kanan or Ezra is gonna just be completely annihilated. I think a part of me, be really sad, tear out a piece of my heart a little bit, because I bonded with these characters over the last 4 seasons. And really gotten to know them. I mean, the first couple episodes, where they're building the character like everything Disney does. They take their time building the character. And now that we've been immersed in their whole plight, now what? We already know that the Ghost was there in Rogue One at the planet Scarif, and you hear General Syndulla speaking, and then you hear that fish-faced guy saying Karabas, which is very, very common that Zebarelios says. I would like that. I don't want them to go into hiding, because the rebels are not going to go into hiding. I don't want them to die, man. I'd rather them kind of go off on a different adventure. Like, hey, we need you guys here. And now you've got Luke and Leia and Obi-Wan and all that. Cause he made his cameo when he finally put Darth Maul to rest. And he did it with honor, which I thought was a pretty tactful way to kill a really awesome warrior like Darth Maul. You got Obi-Wan just kind of, kind of consoling him as he goes on, get a little emotional even thinking about it. But I would like to see what happens, like as far as the Rebel Alliance, because there are all these splinter factions now coming together to become the Rebel Alliance. We all know that the family crest of the Galen Merrick's family crest becomes a symbol of the Rebel Alliance. Was it the two-headed phoenix? So Phoenix Dragon, or what it's called. But I would like to see it kind of just merge into the new cartoon that I've been hearing hints about, that's supposed to take place with the Rebel Alliance, right with the original trilogy all the way to episode 8 is what I'm hearing. So we're gonna get a lot of background stuff that was missed in the movies, and you might get touches of it in the novels in between. And the Last Jedi novels not coming out till what, like March now. I mean, I'm sitting there waiting for this darn thing. So I see them kind of. I mean, if they're gonna die, I want them to have a warrior's death. Standing, blade in hand, ready to go. I think that would be because I know knowing Zeb and his being a Lasat, he's not gonna lay down without a fight. So I know I'm dancing around the question there, but I don't want them to die. I want them to move on, or at least go down with their arms up in defiance. That's my take. Thor?
Well, few things I noticed. Kanan was the first thing that really popped into my head, because he looked like he's going with like reckless abandon now. He cuts his hair, and he wasn't handling those stormtroopers delicately. I mean, like, nothing was going to stand between him and General Syndulla, you know what I mean? So that was the first thing I noticed. Then, as you can tell, I watched it several times. Governor Price got captured. Also, from what I saw, whether she defects or not, I doubt if she defected. She's pretty loyal to Grand Admiral Thrawn. So I don't see that happening. Zeb and Rook. Rook was the bounty hunter that Thrawn hired. Looks like they get into a one-on-one battle, which should be a pretty entertaining. Where Ezra was, that looked like that was the Jedi Temple on Lothal, because it looks like this last final battle or whatever, it looks like it takes place on Lothal. But what I really noticed, and I don't know if you guys saw this or not, they flashed it. It was like a mosaic. It had the father, the son, and the daughter on it. And the convoy bird shows up, if you notice, like right in the middle of the trailer. And you saw that bird at the end of season 2, where Vader was leaving the Sith Temple. And so that shows up now through my studies of Force doctrine. Back in the Clone Wars days, when they ran into the father, the son, and the daughter and Ahsoka had some kind of mind merging or something like that happen. And the daughter converted into like this griffin type creature, but it looked kind of similar to like the same color scheme, you know what I mean? So Could it be the daughter? Who knows? You know what I mean? And of course, how could you go without the Emperor? You know, in which I found out that Ian McDermott is actually doing the voice for the show. You know what I mean? So, and my prediction is, if anything happens to Sabine, we will see Ezra turn to the dark side, because I think that's his barrier. You know what I mean? Because you can tell he likes her or whatever. But you know, so I'm still holding out hope that he's DJ and he stops stuttering and all that kind of stuff. You know what I mean? Yeah, that's my take on it. You know, I just my little notes I took on it as I watched it a few times. But yeah, what stands out the most to me is the mosaic with the father, the son, and the daughter was on there. So go back and watch it. You'll see what I'm talking about.
Yeah, what you're talking about is what they call the Mortis monolith, which is where the force wielders, I guess you want to call them, maybe the original beings of the force. And you had the father that was protecting the balance of good and evil, the daughter representing everything pure, and the son representing everything dark and Sith-like. And you know, the Luke Skywalker books, him and his son end up finding it. You know, you see it in the Clone Wars, where you get a foreshadowing again. The second cartoon, because remember the original series, the 2004 series that was made by the same guys that did Samurai Jack. You see him going into that cave, and you see him turning into Vader and attacking everyone. And then in the Clone Wars cartoon after 2008, after the movie was released, you see him kind of going through that again, but now he's on the Mortis monolith, and you're seeing him, you know, teetering, and you see the Vader thing. And so they give you a lot of foreshadowing. Yes, that bird represents a symbol of that, the essence of the Force, the be all end all, because the Force wielders really, they don't die unless obviously they're killed. But made me wonder, even if in the storybooks where the brother and the sister get in a battle and she ends up dying, did she really die, or did she just merge with the Force and take on a different shape? And then the father dies from a mortal wound, and then the brother escapes from the Mortis monolith. But the Mortis monolith is such a channel of Force energy that the Force kind of lives and morphs and grows inside that. It's kind of like a pyramid type thing, but it's hard to describe. But it's really cool that all these different books, whether it's canon or not, have this overlap of this thing. So I would like to see where this is going again, because you know, here it is in a new cartoon. And the cartoon's getting ready to end and start a new one. So who knows?
For you comic folks out there, it's kind of like the battery on Oa in the Green Lantern, you know, that gives all the Green Lanterns their powers. That's kind of like what Jedi Chris is describing, except with the Force, you know what I mean? So, you know.
I just want to know what you guys think of the whole scene with Emperor and Ezra. Do you think that Ezra will turn into the dark side, or, you know, what are your predictions with that?
Me personally, I really hope so. You know, because that's how I am. But I mean, you know, he just like Rey, he's been teetering with the dark side ever since he found that holocron. You know what I mean? So
yeah,
you know, the Emperor definitely knows he's out there, and he's aware that, you know. So and anybody knows the Emperor, he's always looking for a new apprentice. You know what I mean? So that's fresh meat for him. So it looked like there's some kind of Sith alchemy going on there. You saw that blue flame or whatever it was. And so, you know, and I always get excited when I see the Emperor, you know, because that's my guy, you know, besides Vader. But so we'll see, man. But I think we are in for a serious ride this next half of this last season.
Yeah, I can't wait.
Yeah, I'm definitely looking forward to it.
Yeah. So, well. Do we have any winners yet? No, or are they still answering? But we'll find out. So the last topic we have today is the prequels. You know, why didn't they work, or why didn't, you know, just why weren't they? I don't know. I don't want to say successful, but it just, why didn't they feel like the original trilogy? You know, why do people, you know, revile them or dog them all the time? And so. Jedi Chris, will start with you, man. What are your feelings about? I mean, I start with Paradox all the time. So, what's your opinion?
Why the prequels didn't work?
Yeah, why didn't it work? Yeah.
Okay, so basically, and here's my opinion. I just feel that the reason why it didn't work was that George Lucas took too much upon himself to create these movies. Now, if you actually look at, you know, The Empire Strikes Back and Return of the Jedi, they were like the best movies out of the original trilogy. But guess who didn't direct them or wrote them?
Right.
George Lucas didn't write episode 5. I mean, he created the story, obviously, but he didn't write the screenplay for it. You know, he didn't direct it, you know, same with Return of the Jedi. And if you look at like IMDb and you see like his credentials across the board, you know, he wrote the screenplay, he produced it, he directed it. He had too many hands in the pot, you know, and I felt that like, I mean, for anybody taking on that many responsibilities, I mean, it's gonna kind of give way. I mean, obviously he wrote the screenplay, and you could tell that the dialogue wasn't that great, right? Like it was like, I mean, the whole scene in like where's that Naboo, right? Where you know they're rolling in the grass for like 9 minutes straight. You know, yeah, those. I just felt like, I mean, yes, George Lucas is creating the stories and the movie that he wants to see, right? But you know, like, and you know, he has all creative power, which you know, good for him. But at the same time, that it didn't translate well to the movies. You know, like he writes a great story, but I don't think he is a good or a great director or a screenplay writer. You know, he's a good storyteller, but I mean, I have nothing. I mean, to be honest, I have nothing wrong with the prequels. Yes, they're bad. Yes, the dialogue's bad. Yes, the acting is bad. But in the same, you know, if you really think about it, it has that Star Wars essence that we all love and grew up with. You know, like that story is so unique and so like, I don't know, it's just unique and special, you know? So, yeah, I mean, I really like the prequels. I mean, not really like them as much as, you know, a lot of people, but I just felt like, you know, I wish someone else directed it and wrote the screenplay for it, you know, and it would have been 10 times better than what it is today. I don't know. Jedi Chris?
I really liked episode 1 because of the simplicity. It took you back to a simplistic time. You know, if things were clean, you know, you had your skirmishes here and there, and then you had this CGI bouncing idiot Jar Jar that I guess was kind of overplayed, and then they used him as an integral part to make the final decision for the Clone Wars in episode 2, and then of course, you know, very little bit in episode 3. I don't know. It seemed like the original trilogy it was dark and dirty and pretty cutthroat, and people were struggling and borrowed parts, and they're, you know, using scraps to get ships flying and all this other stuff. And then all of a sudden we go backwards and everything's clean and elegant, and you know, it just seemed like it was too much kind of forcing you know, romance and all this other junk in the middle. And it's been said by a few people online that, you know, you probably could take all 3 of those movies, remove the cheesy romance stuff, the pod race, even though I thought it was cool. You probably can turn that into a 2.5-hour movie, and it explained everything all the way up to that. But then again, all the novels that came out, the comic books, the cartoons, the Clone Wars, I thought that gave it a lot of weight. I think the movies, they were more of a placeholder in the chronological storyline, because I think the books really broke it down, and I found the books to be more enjoyable than the movies themselves. Bad acting, yeah. Sword fights, pretty good. Battle scenes, some good, some hokey. We're starting to see it again, unfortunately, in the new trilogy. But yeah, to go back and go, oh, I want to watch episode 2 again or watch episode 3, it's kind of it's just, I don't know. It's like I could click through the channel and I see 4, 5, and 6, and the channel doesn't change. The original trilogy, it's like, well, if there's nothing else on, cool, I'll watch it. But as a whole, I think the storyline, I mean, good, bad, and different. I do like them. I just, you know, it's like, I think they're probably, as far as wear and tear, I think episodes 4, 5, and 6 probably got more laser disc through them than the original trilogy, because I don't know, they're just not as I don't know, they're just not as I have to agree with Paradox. I think there was too much not delegating things out and trying to keep it my way, and not, hey, let's be open-minded on how to do this. Whereas I think the original trilogy, you can see a lot of people kind of jumping in and helping out. It was a vision, and everyone had some ideas. Some people didn't believe in it. But yeah, there was a lot more control, I think, and maybe there was some ego in there, like, well, no, I want it this way, and it's going to be this way. So, but do I think they're bad? No, I still like them. I'll still watch them. Just not gonna. Oh, hey, let's put in episode 2 today. Ding. No. It's gonna be 4, 5, or 6. What happens? So
yeah. I just wanted to add real quick. With episode 4, Harrison Ford. Actually, I just want to start from the beginning. When I went to Star Wars Celebration, I went to the panel, and George Lucas was explaining about Star Wars. He kind of gave everybody, said, guys, he told the whole crowd, I wrote these movies for 12-year-olds, So with that being said, you have to think, like, what's in George Lucas' mind? He cares about kids. I mean, didn't he donate a lot of his money for education in kids? And that's who he is. So yeah, episode 1 and 2, I mean 3, not so much, but episode 1 and 2 were very kiddish. But that's him, pretty much, like I mentioned before, making the movies that he wanted for the kids. That's why he added a Jar Jar Binks. That's why he added the pod racing. Not for us. It was like, for him, it was more like, okay, these are for the kids. Like, I want the kids to enjoy this movie. In episode 4, if you listen to what Harrison, actually Mark Hamill used to say about the dialogue, they would say the dialogue, like, they would run through the script, and they'd be like, Harrison Ford would be like, I'm not saying that. Like, that doesn't make any sense. But but that's who George Lucas is. That's who he always geared Star Wars, the audience that he wanted to target was kids. Not like, 30 or 40-year-old men like us, But, I still like the prequels, and we'll see, hopefully, I don't know. Thor?
Well, let me say this before I even start. One of my second favorite Star Wars movie is a prequel movie. Revenge of the Sith, that's my second favorite, for obvious reasons. That's my second favorite Star Wars movie. Now, at times, the problem I had with it, at times, it didn't really feel like Star Wars. When I say that, I think it might have been the CGI, because in the original trilogy, they were building models, they had to build everything. That's one thing I give props to J.J. Abrams, because when he did Force Awakens, he said, we're going to do it like they did in the old, they used CGI at some points, but a lot of the stuff, they built models and stuff like that, and that's why a lot of it looked like stuff from the original trilogy, But obviously we got Darth Maul from it. Dooku, he was okay. Truthfully, I didn't like Jar Jar Binks either, but truthfully, character I couldn't never really get a hold of was General Grievous. I never liked General Grievous on any level. Just like I got into it with some guy, because the sideshow General Grievous thing. Oh, it's Grail. I said, well, I guess it is, man, but it's just I never liked General Grievous. So for me, he just never felt like a Star Wars villain to me. And he kind of, whenever he comes on, I just fast forward him, because he was cooler in that the series that Jedi Chris was talking about earlier. He on there, I was like, damn, this dude is thorough. But once he got on screen, it was like, who is this cat? So that's one of the things that ruined it for me. But I think that's because Coruscant, even in episode 3, it always kind of felt kind of Star Trekky to me. It's just kind of streamlined and Art Deco and all that kind of stuff. That's I think that's what it was really for me, the kind of the dent that it left on me. Like the original trilogy, like you said, Paradox, he said he made it for 12-year-olds, but somehow they found a happy medium. You had, the cool factor for kids, but yet there was much more, it was still intrigue, like, the Vader and the Luke thing, far as being father and son, and there was enough storylines, enough input that kept adults interested also. You know what I mean? So somehow they found a way to pull that off. You know what I mean? And still, in my opinion, you know, maybe these Marvel movies or whatever, but they pretty much, to me, nothing since then has captured like both young folks, like the entire population, like the original trilogy did. You know what I mean? And I think that's what it was for me. You know, it just, you know, the CGI kind of jacked it up, but you know, we got, like I said, we got good things out of it. We got Maul, Yoda and the Emperor. I still hold on to that as one of the best. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That I actually got as that they were getting ready. I was getting chills in the movie. You know, as you know. So that's you know, I actually call episode 3 the porno movie, because that's you know
that's what got you.
Yeah, Thor's going streaking. Woo!
Yeah. That's what that was for me. So you know, yeah.
I mean, I just hope that, I mean, like, that's what I wanted. I mean, if you think about episode 5, like, you know, like you said, Thor, like when you had like a little bit of for the kids and a little bit for adults, you know, like I felt like George Lucas wrote the story, but someone else took the and wrote the screenplay and directed the movie.
Right.
So that's why I was excited for the new trilogy, episode 8, you know, 7, 8, 9, was because that's what I thought they were going to do, was that George Lucas is going to write the story, someone else is going to write the screenplay and direct the movie, and everything will be all happy and, you know, had that same feeling as you had in the original trilogy. But, you know, I'm not going to dive into that. I'll leave that on for another story. I mean, another live show about me.
One more thing I wanted to say, you know, something I always thought about, you know, because if you watch the making of and everything, in each of the original trilogy, well, the last, you know, Empire and Jedi, he wanted to get Steven Spielberg to direct one of them, but it just, for some reason or another, it never happened. I'm surprised they didn't try to get him to direct one of these you know, Force Awakens or Last Jedi or something. You know, I mean, whether he would have did it or not, who knows? But, you know, I think because, you know, as far as, you know, it's all, you know, off subject, but kind of the same neighborhood. As far as Raiders of the Lost Ark and all that kind of stuff goes, you know, he directed all 3 of those. So, you know, and that's probably why they were so good, you know. So I'm surprised they never tried to get him to direct one of these new movies, you know.
I mean, I don't know what happens behind the scene, but I mean, my theory is that like once they kick George Lucas out, they're like, yep, get out of here. We don't want.
Right.
Steven Spielberg is like, whoa, that's my boy. Well, forget about like me directing any new movies with you guys. Yeah. I mean, that's just me speculating. I could be totally wrong, but I hope eventually he does like come on board and direct a Star Wars movie. But
I don't think so. I think Spielberg, I mean, he's made a name for himself. He doesn't need to go prove anything. It would be great to have Spielberg be a part of that, but I don't see it happening. I think J.J. Abrams, does a really good job on filming, and Rian Johnson too. You know, I think they're both outstanding in what they do. But let's face it, we had our foundation movies storyline. We had 4, 5, and 6. All right, changed the way movies have been done ever since, and Lucas got very little freaking credit for that stuff, which is aggravating. You know, somebody who's like this. Completely started this whole new frontier of movie magic, and yet you're not going to give him any credit because he didn't want to play by Hollywood rules. All right, fine, whatever. But you got to remember, he's an artist, he's a creator, so he does the first 3, and then he just has to go back and do the prequel. He's got new technology. Hey, I kind of want to do it this way, but as they start going through, he's like, you know what, I'm going to do it this way now. So he probably molded it into something different. Did it still give you the story? Yeah. Now we're seeing a whole different aspect with this new trilogy coming out. At the end of the day, are we not going to watch it? No, I think we're going to go watch it. Right. And even if we don't like it or we're confused, we're going to see it more than once. And maybe that's a marketing strategy, because people like me, for Last Jedi, I had to see it 3 times. I watched it. It was kind of overwhelming. My mind going everywhere. I had to watch it a second time. I picked it apart, and then I had to watch it a 3rd time just to relax and just separate myself from the whole storyline and just watch the movie as it is. And that's when I went, you know what, this is actually a really good movie. It really is. So, yeah, the future. I'm praying. I'm not seeing a whole lot of positive stuff right now, but again, you know, you don't judge artwork before it's finished. So let's not look at the half-used canvas right now. Let's just focus on, okay, well, there's going to be a lot of naysayers and a lot of gossip and made up disinformation type stuff. So I'm getting better at not following that stuff anymore, so I can just wait for it to come out. But every movie has a book. Let's get to that book so I can fill in the voids that my mind has, you know, questions for. And again, this is Jedi Chris on caffeine. I apologize, everybody.
All right. So do we have a winner, or what's up with it? No.
Well, apparently I overdid it again.
Well, that saved me some shipping funds, so you know, I appreciate that.
Yeah, seriously, no disrespect to the fans. I like to make them complex because it is such an awesome. I want to, you know, it's kind of like, you know, when you're saving up your allowance because you want that awesome. I wanted to make it an awesome question. Okay, my second awesome question, so people like, hey, I know this, or hey, I had to do a little research and I figured it out. And maybe I need to dial it back a little bit. Maybe just stick with the movies for a while. And
Well, I tell you what, you guys got 2 weeks because next week is CB show, and Gunderson ain't been on CB show in a while, so I'll make sure I'm on it. But you know, pull out all your novels and all these comic books and everything, and get ready for Jedi Chris next time with the questions, okay? Because Vader, he collecting dust.
I'll give everybody a hint. Because I think the Knights of the Old Republic and the old you know, the old Sith Lords and stuff, I think have a lot of merit to the storyline. I'm going to stick with that for the next show. Hint. Excuse me. So make sure you crack open the comic books, the novels, and I know some of you that are, you know, better internet whizzes than I am. I'm sure you might find it on Wikipedia as well. Just saying, no fault. Use your resources. No such thing as cheating when you're studying. So just get the answer, and you'll have yourself a nice Vader. And then future shows, we're going to kind of change a little bit. We're going to be looking at some older Star Wars action figures and things of that nature that Jedi Chris has been collecting for a while that I think needs to have a new home. So we're going to go from statues to action figures, courtesy of Jedi Chris, and you know, his be all end all 40 years of being an awesome nerd. So there you go.
All right, y'all. So it's been a great show. On behalf of our bounty hunter, our Jedi, and our Sith Lord, we like to say, may the Force be with you, and see you next time.
May the Force be with you always, everyone.
May the Force be with you.
Oh, wait a minute.
I will finish what you've started.
Yeah,